Happy Tuesday, friends. It has been way too long since I last talked to you guys or posted anything Kermit Says related, and for that, I do apologize. If you've been keeping up with me on the blog or Facebook or Instagram, you know that I've just been dealing with a lot with my health and with grades and school, and just life happened. So, I hope that you guys will please forgive me and charge it to my head and not my heart, because not a day went by that I was not thinking about my Kermit Says readers and subscribers. So, if this is your first time listening to Kermit Says, Dear Kermit is a part of Kermit Says. It's a weekly podcast where I answer the questions that you have written in, and hopefully you are subscribing and liking and all that jazz to all of the social media that Kermit Says is involved with. And today, again, I didn't get a Dear Kermit letter or anything like that in my email, but I do want to reiterate the fact that if you have a question, feel free to ask. Send it to contactkermitsays@gmail.com. I will link that below. You can also get to me through the Kermit Says website at www.kermitsays.com. But so this isn't a podcast that's necessarily answering a question, but it's something that I've kind of been dealing with, and quite honestly not dealing with it very well. And I figured I can't be the only one experiencing this. I can't be the only one going through this. And so I'm thinking that this week is going to be a themed week, even though it's Tuesday, so I'm like one day off. But I'm thinking this week should be dedicated to self-love and just the importance of like recognizing your self-worth. And so today I've just been kind of thinking about everything that I've been going through recently and in the past that kind of has shaped who I am and the way that I see myself sometimes, not all the time, and it's not really in the best light. And so I thought that it might be a good idea to kind of address that. I don't even know how to start this. Like, I'm actually really nervous. Why am I so nervous? Probably because this is like the realest podcast I've posted to date, or the realest Dear Kermit I've posted to date. But if I'm being completely honest and like sharing myself with you guys, I guess I should just kind of dive right in, right? And not waste too much time. So I have been single for what will be 5 years in September. This was not necessarily by choice. It just kind of happened. Previously, I was in a very committed, long-term relationship where I was engaged and planned on getting married and spending the rest of my life with this person. But unfortunately, he was unfaithful, and after giving him a number of chances, he continued to cheat and remain unfaithful. And so eventually I got the strength to completely cut that relationship off, and I moved on and was in another relationship. It wasn't a very healthy relationship. The person was very it was kind of toxic in that the person was very negative. And if you know me, you know I'm pretty positive. I'm a really positive person, and this was just like a negative Nancy constantly. And there was a lot of fighting and a lot of bickering and a lot of arguing. And then after that, I got into another relationship, or actually kind of rekindled an old flame, and that did not end well either. And then I moved to Massachusetts, where I was teaching and was just single because I wasn't meeting anyone, and I took that as a sign that I should really be focusing on me. right? And really be developing this sense of self-love and self-worth and value. And the thing about that is that if you're not doing it intentionally, it doesn't really matter how long you're alone. That healing is not going to happen, right? So fast forward to Memorial Day weekend, and I just so happened to meet someone who I think is pretty awesome, and that's super exciting. But it's also really terrifying because I still have these scars, right? These scars, these wounds from previous relationships that I thought had healed properly, but in fact, um, maybe aren't as old as I thought they were. I think a lot of it has to do with trust and just completely trusting this person, trusting the process, trusting whatever this spirals into. But also, I think it has a lot to do with me and the way that I view myself. And, I've got these days where I'm doing my affirmations. I mean, you saw it in the Get Ready With Me video, right? I start my day off with these affirmations, and I'm like, I'm awesome, I'm wonderful. I tell my students to say the same things to themselves to kind of boost their sense of self, to boost their morale. It's a great way to start the day off. But if you're not consistent about that, it's easy to forget. It's easy to turn on the television or flip through a magazine or go on Instagram and see these beautiful human beings, and they're smart and they're doing awesome things and they're just in such a wonderful state in their lives, and you kind of start to question who you are and what do you have that you can bring to the table, which is completely ludicrous, right? Because we are who we are. There's so much that we can bring to the table. There's so much that we do in our own lives and in the lives of others to make a difference. And so why is it that we have these little seeds of doubt that kind of make their way into our thoughts and into our hearts and completely transforms the way that we see ourselves? That's dangerous, and it's sad, and it's anxiety inducing, and it's completely pointless, right? Because whether or not you've met someone, whether it's romantically or just completely platonic or what have you, that person sees something in you that's worth pursuing. And regardless of whether or not that person sees something, you have to see it for yourself, right? I'm constantly telling my niece and nephews how if you don't treat yourself or if you don't love yourself, who will, right? And so I kind of feel like I'm rambling at this point, which, it's totally fine. If you're still listening, that's awesome. Kudos to you. If you're not, I totally understand. But I think what I'm trying to say here is, as much as I've been hurt in previous relationships, as much as you've been hurt by other people disappointing you or hurting you or being unfaithful or disloyal or what have you, regardless of the way in which people treat you, and this is so much easier said than done, trust me, it plays a role, yes. It makes you afraid, right? It makes you nervous. It induces anxiety. But it should not stop you. Right? I think there was a blog post that I shared, I wrote a while ago, and I said something to the effect of, we cannot let fear dictate the way in which we live our lives. And it's so true. And in the same way that we can't let fear of failure or of pain or of disappointment or of unmet expectations, we can't let that fear of those things happening dictate the way that we live our lives, the way that we see the world, the way that we love others, and most importantly, the way that we love ourselves, because the way in which someone treats you is not a reflection of you. It is not something that you deserve. If someone is hurting, if someone is not at a point in their lives where they can love you, that says more about them than it does about you. Trust me. It took me a very long time to get here. It's a daily, not even a daily, it is an hourly process to remind myself, good God, you are amazing. You are fantastic. You are smart and you are kind and you are charismatic and empathetic and beautiful and talented and worthy of love. Love in all of its forms, in all of its shapes, in all of its facets and aspects. You are worthy of glorious things. And you have to remind yourself that the same way that I have to remind myself that every day. And I'm 28 years old. It doesn't get easier. It gets harder. But when I tell you it's worth it, I promise you it's worth it in the end. I don't know where this thing is going with this new person. I'm excited. I'm absolutely terrified. But I can't make it about the fear of getting hurt. Pain is inevitable. But the thing is, you bounce back from it. It doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, and you grow from it, and you learn from it, and you realize this is what I want, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do in order to get to where I want to be and to get what I want. But it all starts with you and how you see yourself and how you view yourself. Audre Lorde, fantastic womanist, writer, scholar, said, self-love is not selfish, it is self-preservation. Or something to that effect. Trust the process. Take the steps. Take the time to love yourself fully, wholly, authentically. I love you. Someone else loves you. But you gotta love yourself. What are you going to do to love you in all of your flaws? Comment below.